Okay, welcome to the C3, that stands for period third 9-week period. That's what C3 stands for, project. Okay, basically if you follow instructions in this video, you'll be sure to get your maximum points for your project. Remember, a project is 20% of your grade for the entire 9 weeks. So the first thing that we're going to ask you to do in this is, and this is your biggest point getter, is to just simply pick a function. Okay? I'm going to pick this function right here, f of x. F of x equals to x squared minus 6 over 2. All right, then I'm going to go to the next screen. Let's graph that function. Now you'll probably have to peek over it again, or maybe just look at it again so you know how to graph it. Okay, I'm going to type f of x just like that. All right, I'm going to press equals, and because I want a fraction, I'm going to press the division line first. Then I can type x squared minus 6 over 2. All right, once you do that, your function, of course, shows up there. You can also use this keyboard down here if you need symbols. Okay, so here's our function there. So I've already got 70 points. This is 74. Okay, so let's move on. Then it says write the domain of the function that you chose. If you look at this function, if I go back a slide, this look at the left and look at the right. How far does a function extend on the left? It never stops going to the left because it never stops. And it never stops going to the right. So for this particular function as it stands, the domain is all real numbers. So I'm going to type here that the domain is all real numbers. All real numbers. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the next slide, and that's another 4 points. I believe that puts me at 78. Okay. So now let's graph the function. Okay. Now what I can do is I can either retype the function. Well, I'm going to graph it right here on line 3. I can either retype the function here, or I can just copy and paste it. And for those of you that don't know how to copy and paste, you have to do that a lot in this particular project. All you do is go to the function that you chose on line 2 and highlight it. Just drag your mouse and highlight it. Press Control and C. Control and C. And then come back over here, go to line 3 where it says graph, and let's do Control V, paste your function there. Either that or you can just type it over. Okay. Now that we have the function graphed, all we need to do is move our slider to see if it's 1-to-1. All right, we're applying the horizontal line test. And as you can see from the horizontal line test, it hits the function in more than one time. Here, all these places, it hits the function more than once. So if the horizontal line crosses the function more than once, it does not pass the horizontal line test. So I'm going to press the plus sign and put a note here. And I'll say the function does not pass the horizontal line test. It is not 1, 2, 1. Okay. So this function did not pass. Anytime this horizontal line, this red line, crosses the function more than once, then the function is not 1-to-1, so it does not currently have an inverse. Let's go to the next screen here. All right. So here's what we can do is we're going to restrict the domain of f of x so that the inverse exists. So here's how we're going to do that. I have basically another horizontal line test set up here. But what we're going to do is I'm going to paste my function again. I'm going to go to line 2 here, and I'm going to press Control V again to paste it. But this time I'm going to restrict the domain. All right, so as long as this crosses 2 places, then I'm going to have an issue here. But in this function, if I'm going to press a brace, and I'm going to type X greater than or equal to. Let's do greater than or equal to, and let's say 0. Note if I do X is greater than or equal to 0, then I do the horizontal line test, I no longer have the it no longer crosses in 2 places. It does pass the horizontal line test. So I restricted the domain so that now the inverse exists. So let's go to the next slide. Let's find the inverse algebraically. I need to go. I'll go back and assess my point totals quickly. All right, so let's look at this one. So we're going to get up to 5 points for this part. First, let's go ahead and paste our function again. All right. Step 1 is to replace the f of x with y. So I'm going to paste it again, but this time I'm going to let f of x be y. Step 2 is to switch x and y. So now I'm going to type x equals to, put my fraction again, and this time I'm going to type y to the power of 2 minus 6 over 2. All right. And now I have my inverse there. Okay. Keep in mind that I also need to put my restriction here. So I'm going to type in my brace x, and here's how you can get the greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to 0. I put that in there. Okay, make sure that's in there. All right, so let's keep going. The next step is to solve for y. We can do that by multiplying both sides by 2 to get 2x equals to y to the power 2 minus 6. Then the next thing you're going to do is add 6 to both sides. You're going to get 2x plus 6 equals to y to the power 2. All right. And finally, we can get the y by itself by taking the square root of both sides. I can get the square root down here. Square root 2x plus 6. I'm going to come out of that. Equal sign y. Okay, so all I need to do now, and so there's the work there. We've just done all the steps to find the inverse algebraically. All right, so let's go to the next slide. It says graph your function and its inverse below. So all I want to get is where I started and what I finished with. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to copy and paste there, and then I'm going to come back to this and get the result. Copy, paste here. All right, there we go. And then let's see, we're almost done. Let's look at our right and our domain and range of the inverse. The inverse is the function that we ended up with. So in this case, it's just that one. Notice that I cut off f of x. So I'm just looking at this inverse. If I look at this function, the domain of this function is from x. X is greater than -3. So x is greater than -3 is the domain, and the range, of course, the range is the domain, and range is the same as the domain that we start out with. So my range, my domain is colon x is greater than equal to -3, and my range is y greater than equal to 0. And so let's go ahead and see. Since we completed everything, then you get automatically 100 points there. Okay, so 100 points if you complete everything. If you're not able to do everything, then do as much of this as you can and follow the video. Okay, that is the whole project. So have a good time, and I hope you get maximum points on this.